Hello everybody, my name is Anthony. Welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 New Order as the good old US of A. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So, we are still in the middle of the election season. Currently, we're doing the Senate election. I believe this also is in November. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, I think it's November. I mean, by the time somebody corrects me, I probably would have already finished this. Anyways. You know, American elections, they take a billion years. I don't know. Is America ever not in election season? I don't think so. Anyways, elections are going on. We have 1 hour war down in Malaya. So we have a somewhat friendly government down there, which is nice. And we're currently also, speaking of them, trying to do just a little bit of a coup d'etat. Did I already finish it? Or I'm not doing any special missions? We're not conducting... Did I already, finish that? New operative, sure, sounds great. I'm actually not too sure. I think we did click the button, but I don't know if we actually have any, follow-up. Oh, failure. Excellent. Unfortunately, because of logistical setbacks, performance, misplaced timing, lack of information. Okay, so we have failed in coupping the Malaysian government. The one that we literally just put into power. Let's try, let's just try again. Operation Divider. Let's see if we can maybe split up their government in some way, because we want like a more friendly American government there. A chronicle from the east. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm alive, or at least I was when I wrote this letter, and in good shape. I'm currently camped out in Tuva, and I guess that means I've successfully trekked my way through the Russian Far East. While I love to tell you about it in person, a letter will have to suffice for now. Kamacha turned out to be run by remnants of the Red Navy. Its sailors were quite friendly, and their leader was kind enough to give me a boat to Magadan. Unfortunately, they've been forced to resort to piracy to make ends meet, given the region's desolate conditions. Magadan comparison is fairly well off. As people look to adjust to the harsher conditions, and their leader, Madovsky, seems to be a nice fellow. Across the border, the Yatsos Republic is dominated by mining companies, and while peaceful, it is sparsely populated. It was here that I hired Zoya, an experienced sniper, to guide me on my journey. Crossing into Amir, I entered into a territory ruled by thugs and murderers, where violence and brutality were common and unrestrained. Counting myself lucky to avoid injury, we crossed into Achita, a territory ruled by the forces that some think the Russian Civil War still isn't over, with a czar from Australia as its head. Finally, we crossed into Buryata, a land of idealist revolutionaries, fighting against the last tyrannical remnants of the Soviet Union in Irstruk, a paranoid state which deported me to Tuva, now run by remnants of the Red Army. While I still have a ways to go before I get back home, Russia is a fascinating land, and I only hope that Zoya will be by my side. I can traverse it all. Wish me luck, guys, and hopefully I will see you soon. This is a follow-up to the event we saw a few episodes ago regarding the family in Alaska. I thought he was going off to, like, the Navy or joining the war in Malaya, but I was informed that he's actually doing a little bit of a nice trek through Asia. So right now he is in the People's Revolutionary Council. So he's not dead. I mean, good on him, I guess. Line attack, maneuver, warfare. No, okay. Let's just go for better support companies. I think that seems fine. Again, when you play the United States, you're never really going to be in a war with anybody. Anybody major, at least. Not directly. I'm pretty sure any direct war the United States would be involved in would very quickly escalate to a nuclear war, which would be bad. Toggle lost descriptions. Don't care about you. Really only care. Talk about the MPP's progressives. Again, this is for the Civil Rights Act, which will be vetoed in just a mere moment. Okay, polls have been updated. How are we looking then? The NPP. Prediction right now is still plus 14. So we're going to be 40 to 60. I think that's a pretty decent, decent ratio for us. Nixon vetoes the civil rights agenda. Shock, horror, delight, and a myriad of other feelings are bubbling in the Senate today as the news of surprise the veto by Kennedy's Civil Rights Act trickled in. The majority leader, Lyndon Johnson, garnering enough support to push the bill through the floor and onto Nixon's desk, most assumed that passing it was a foregone conclusion. That was not meant to be. With a big red veto stamped across the copy submitted to President Nixon, while conservatives and the Dixiecrats celebrate the defense of American ideals, many progressives, both Democrat and Republican, see this as betrayal as the final straw in a long line of inaction and pig-headed appeasement. Senators murmur whispers of defection and revolts in back rooms while the coalition celebrates its unity. The back of the Republican Democrats has been broken, and the wolves among the pack circle even closer. Okay, the MPP shifts to the left. Good, that's what we want. Segregation will be strengthened. There will be northern riots. Urban voters, more progressive. Black voters, more progressive. Hispanic voters, more progressive. The nativist and the rural voters will be more Republican. Dixiecrat support for the RDC will increase. Hardline Republicans will be happier. Labor Democrats and responsible Republicans will be more upset. So I'm wondering, do we want to break the RDC coalition? Like, is that beneficial if we want to do an NPP playthrough? The answer is probably yes. Okay, but we veto this now. And again, people are saying, like, kind of ignore India. And I probably was going to do that anyways, because India doesn't really do too much. At least in the current version of the mod, because there's 2 Indian governments, and they don't really do anything with each other. Actually, I'm going to turn on my audio just a little bit. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Okay. So we're going to do South Africa first, because South Africa, we know, will enter into a kind of Vietnam conflict. I think that's guaranteed. I don't think there's anything else there. How are people feeling? Waning. Faction health is strong for the Democrats. Faction health is waning for the Republicans. Or the hardline Republicans waning and lacking. So really, nobody right now is really happy with the coalition. It's got durable support and lacking approval. You know what? I'm not going to, like, completely throw the RDC under the bus. Because we're going to have so much political power. I'm going to click, like, some of these. Let's hold a White House meeting. And then we'll appease Ruther. I don't know who the hell that is. We'll do that right now. Just to spend a little bit of our political power. We have, like, a lot of it building up. Of course, we could theoretically save it for when we become NPP. But again, that's going to take quite a while. Like, we are currently, you know, in May of 62. The election's in 64. And who knows what else we're going to need the political power for, right? How are you guys going? Divider. Does it not, like, have, like, a timer somewhere for, how long this will take? I guess not. You think that it would, but maybe we can take these multiple times. Hey, operation has been successful. Victory, our mission is successfully accomplished, and all men are returning home safe and sound. Okay, more experience. Giving Razak the boot. The CIA operatives have recently begun a hard work in increasing the power base of Abu Razak, leader of the faction in the Malaysian government most favorable to our Organization of Free Nations. In safe houses, residents, and offices throughout Malaya, a list of people to approach have been determined. Functionaries have figured out who and who not to try to get a hold of. UMAJF, in its original form, certainly skewed communist. This is what made it so attractive to the Marxist caucus and other such Marxist-Buccaneerist factions. But Chin Peng, having fought himself to exhaustion against the Japanese Civil War, is no longer in a fit state to direct what does and does not happen in the coalition. As a result, the coalition is no longer bound to a single united purpose. Therefore, it's only a matter of time before the splinters of the constituent fragments, and those fragments begin to fight over who will take the wheel from Mr. Chin. Plans have been set to make this play out in a way that benefits the OFN. We will inflame the ideological differences and the uncertainty every chance that we get. Then, when the Malaya politicians are fully engaged in cringe-inducing slap fights, and the people are bemused, confused, or at a loss, we will help them understand that Mr. Razak is the only reasonable candidate for the next leader of Malaysia. A post-revolutionary government needs a steady hand to keep it collapsing, and Mr. Razak, being relatively level-minded and agreeable, will be a perfectly placed to provide that. We will increase our candidates' chances at the election. Do we know when that election is going to be? No, I think every country right now has set to no elections. Well, I say that, but these ones, they do list one. So, probably like an event election, we'll kind of have to wait and see. The Promesa movement. Classification top secret. Director of Intelligence, Subject Promesa, and North Sulawesi. The growing tide of dissent against the Sukarno regime has continued to nurture special opportunities for us to undermine the Tokyo-backed government in Jakarta. One such venue is the Universal Struggle Charter Movement, aka Permesta, whose leaders seek to oppose and fight against the constriction of economic policies damaging their local business developments. Furthermore, it is noted that the popular dissatisfaction against the regime has swept the province of Northern Sulawesi, granting us the boon of striking 2 birds with 1 stone. If the operation, no codename Fire Sales Greenland, we will proceed twofold. Firstly, we'll provide the local Permesa group with the supplies of weapons and equipment, alongside a small unit of military instructors to train the rebels into using them. Should civil war break out, secondly, we will utilize the North Sulawesi region as a logistics hub to provide our soldiers in the USFIP in Mindanao the much needed support in our ongoing struggle against the Philippine garrison. At your word, Mr. President, we begin the operation immediately. Absolutely. Give our boys the guns in it. Why would I say no? If I have an opportunity to kind of, you know, kick the Japanese a little bit, why would I refuse? Okay, so we have foreign policy. I'm guessing this is a new operation here. Oh yeah, well, I guess we have more stuff, right? This is... When smuggled fishing ships will get assessed for... Okay, so this is for the Philippines. I don't care about anything with the Germans. Get rid of this for now. Actually, quickly, is there anything else we can do here? Don't care about Germany doing anything in Asia. Destabilize Japan. Fund Korean resistance. I think we're fine not doing anything there. Don't care about you. What about in, Blue Friends? A UDN candidate support for the current election season. Will increase President Lot's influence. Thing is, I don't know where these are. It doesn't actually say. A UDN. I mean, these are all South American. UDN. So this is Brazil. Red Beach is. I'm guessing that might be here. You're UND. UDN. And then this is for President. So this is President Lot. We just gotta figure which one of you is President Lot. Or any of you President Lot. Colombia? I don't know who that is. Brazil military loyalist. Decrease Brazilian military loyalist. Strengthen pro-American sentiment. I mean, that could just be good to have. Cost 35. I mean, I'm so rich. I'm America, man. I can afford this. And I think this is just like random. These ones in Southeast Asia are a little bit more focused. So let's begin Operation Cutthroat. We have a 58% chance of succeeding. I see no reason to say no. We'll try to increase our capabilities a little bit more where we can. And what about you guys? Is there anything we can do with you? Not right now. I mean, the Philippines are basically divided, obviously, by like 3 different states. And we'll support anyone for any reason. If you want guns, by God, I'm here to provide them. Anything we care about here? Business summit. You know what? Let's have a business summit. Why not? Advocate for law and order. Labor Democrats. Okay. Solid NPP campaign. Okay, cool. Where do we want... Okay, we want to hide states that are not voting. Where do I want to put some more pressure? And again, we want to be looking at more progressive states. So maybe in like which states are here not voting? Just Michigan. Yeah, let's do a campaign. A lot of support here for the progressives. Very, very happy to see it. And we should... Okay, middling campaign. Good, good. Again, we want the RDC to be big and stinky, right? We don't want them to be happy with anything. If the RDC is happy, I'm not happy. And I want to be happy. You know, I don't want to... Rock's already at 189. It's pretty good. Oh, God, we have so many events. Okay. CIA report, South Africa. A. The South African Federation faces a similar issue to our own of civil rights. Despite never having been implemented the so-called apartheid system proposed by the National Party, the continuing legal, social, and economic inequality between black and white South Africans are prime breeding grounds for social unrest, something that's already weakened government cannot afford. B. Boer agitation in northwest of the South Africa has grown stronger in the past 2 years, especially as the government moves to pass legislation addressing racial inequality. The Boers live relatively isolated from the wider South African society and hold proud traditions of political independence and armed defense. An organized uprising is likely in the near future. C. A direct invasion by South Africa's northern neighbors, the African Rijkskommerstraat, would be very unlikely in the current situation, as they almost entirely rely on their mother nation to provide material and political support to prop up their governments. All their military forces are tied up in internal peacekeeping operations. However, should this support ever be withdrawn, their actions may turn erratic to the point of losing any sense of predictability. D. The wider American public would not be vehemently opposed to a direct intervention in South Africa should the situation change to require it. Truncated for brevity. Do you think anything could possibly happen into the German Empire, to the Reich, that would cause the African states to be a little bit rambunctious? Quite possible. 2. Derek Brosnan. The day he heard he would be assigned to Greenland was the day his hopes withered. The day he actually got there, they died. Derek did always have a flair for the melodramatic, though, and figured he ought to give the frozen, barren, isolated, horrid island a chance, and he was glad that he did. It didn't take long for him to realize that the island was closer to home than he had thought, difficult as it was in the frigid, relentless cold. Walking down to the small town adjacent to the airfield was something of an exercise that Derek had grown used to, and he never minded the walk there. There had always been a certain appeal in the military equipment he'd been provided. The extreme cold gear was certainly among the more comfortable pieces of clothing, which he had worn in service, and the leather extreme cold weather mask had its own way of growing on those who used it, even if it did guff a distinct serial killer look to it. Walking into the town's restaurant, Derek could, for a moment, imagine that he was back home in Illinois, and it wasn't very hard. The town was founded on the back of American families whose husbands and fathers were stationed in Greenland, and the town was built on American values, which everyone there had been protecting. And it wasn't just the case of the airfield town. Even the biggest cities like Nuuk had grown a certain American flair from where Derek had occasionally had the opportunity to visit them. While reflecting on this, Carlos, a fellow soldier, sat down at the table, opposite Derek with a half smile, concern clearly on his face. After exchanging greetings and pleasantries, Carlos had a sober look grown across his face. Derek, have you heard about Jerry? Derek responded by shaking his head. He locked himself in his bunk for a solid day. Nobody saw him until he was in the emergency room. You fucking believe that? Carl asked. God, man, Derek murmured, feeling sick to his stomach. He pushed his cup of coffee aside. That's Greenland, man. Fuck. First Kowloon, now this. Just another day. Is there a plague going on in Greenland? The Greenlander plague? I hope not. That doesn't seem very good for anybody. Okay, so we got waning support. We're now durable. Faction health for response for Republicans is durable. But we've given them a little bit more support. Operation's been a failure, negative 50% experience. I will be honest, I don't know if the experience actually does anything. Maybe I'm crazy. Go to Operation Ace. So it looks like Divider we can do multiple times. You know what, let's do Operation Ace. As far as I'm aware, I don't think there's a reason not to just click these buttons. Brazil's won the World Cup. Congratulations, Brazil. I mean, we're over here in the US of A. We don't care too much about that, but I'm sure, like, you guys care. So congratulations, I guess. You must maintain at least 6% hawkishness for a period of 6 days, or the mission will fail. Hardline Republicans will support the coalition more. Okay. U.S. Supreme Court is very conservative, as comprised of 6 conservatives and 3 liberals. Okay, South American plan. That will lead us to... Progressives in the Senate will be more likely to support an African intervention. Yes, our commitment to African democracy. We do want them to be happy. And there's our thing about South Africa here. Not quite yet, but that also might be in foreign policy. Operation Jewel. Shorting up support for the institution in crucial states would mean keeping our Anglo friends in power. Yes, do Operation Jewel. It looks like it doesn't actually fail. So I'm happy with that. Crisis, collapse of the triumvirate. We love to see it. The South African Tango. Secretary of State William Rogers was well familiar with the steps of the South African Tango. The South African ambassador would ask vague generalities about admission to the UFN, but without any real plans for common defense or tariff liberalization. The Secretary would, in turn, respond with vague updates on South Africa's application, now nearly a decade old. It suited both parties. The South Africans wanted the threat of OFN membership to cow the Germans, and UFN needed to pressure the last democracy in Africa. Neither, however, wanted a German intervention, which OFN membership could provoke. Thus, the South African Tango continued on without end. How can I be of help to you today, Ambassador? Roger struck up a neutral tone to hide his boredom. He was near certain that the response would be entirely predictable. We're doing well, and about that OFN application would be the usual response. The Germans are making their move, Ambassador Willem Christian Noad declared. Herzog-born nationalists are taking up, talking to the Germans. South Africa's in danger, and we need American help. That got Roger's attention, as his stomach dropped to the most unexpected turn in a decade-long discourse. What kind of help are you talking about? Financial? Intelligence? Above all, military. Nuad said firmly, if the Boers and the Germans want to fight, we will not make it easy for them. No more dancing, no more games. And I will say with that, with the revoking, or the vetoing of the Civil Rights Act, tensions growing in South Africa, and try and do a little bit of political plays in Malaysia, I think this is a really good time for us to end off this episode. So if you enjoyed, remember to thumbs up. Najo, go to thumb down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.